Hi, I'm Jacqueline Raposo of www.thedustybaker.com. Gluten-free and allergy-alternative recipes can be a little bit frustrating and can make for one very, very messy kitchen. But I hope my updated classics and fun flavor combinations show you that with a little bit of mess, a lot of fun, and a whole lot of love, even a dusty baker can produce delectable results. Here we go. So gluten-free cinnamon spice cupcakes. This is a very large batch. It makes about 18 cupcakes. And we're basically taking a regular old yellow cupcake mix and we're kicking it up a notch with a lot of cinnamon and a little bit of clove, just the right amount of sweetness. It's the perfect cupcake, especially for the fall and winter months. You can top it with a vanilla bean frosting. You can core it and put some apple pie filling inside. It's a really warm, warm cupcake. So we're going to start with a wide variety of flour here. I've got 1 1/3 cups of brown rice flour, 1 cup of millet flour, 1/3 cup of buckwheat flour. You can use sorghum instead for this. This is again going to give us a really hefty cupcake here. And 1/2 cup of tapioca starch. You can also use arrowroot starch for that. So I'm going to whisk those. Oh, a little bit of starch left. I'm going to whisk those together a little bit. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of gluten-free baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, so those are our leaveners in there, 3/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Because this is a cake recipe, we don't want to put too much xanthan gum in there. We want it to all bind together, which is what the starches in the xanthan gum do, but we don't want to get it too gummy. And then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So now look at that hefty, hefty mix right there. So then to that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/2 teaspoon of clove. There we go. So this makes for one very hearty cupcake. So now that it's all sifted together, I'm going to set that aside. And then in my standing mixer, with the whisk attachment, I'm going to put 2 large eggs that are at room temperature. And I'm going to beat them for about 2 to 3 minutes until they get really creamy and we get some air in there for volume. So now that my eggs are really creamy and have almost doubled in volume, I guess you could say, I'm adding 1 1/3 cups of unsweetened almond milk. I'm using almond milk because this makes them completely dairy-free as well. And there is no gum of any sort in this milk. There's no sugar and there's no gum, so it's not adding any sweetness or any other binding fat to our cupcakes. And then I have 4 tablespoons of melted coconut oil. You can use canola oil, safflower, sunflower oil. 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. You can use lemon juice or white vinegar instead. I spilled a tiny bit. And then 1/2 teaspoon of gluten-free vanilla extract. And now that that's all mixed in there, I'm going to turn my mixer down even a little bit lower. And I'm slowly going to add my dry ingredients. I'm going to mix it on medium for about a minute total just to make sure that all of those flours get absorbed. And this is going to produce a slightly thicker batter than you'd expect for a cupcake. You might think this is not going to work. It actually works though. They're going to be light and fluffy. That is beautiful. So look at that as it drips off. Beautiful batter. So now, I'm going to clear off some space here. Now I've got just regular size cupcake tins fitted with some paper liners. And I'm going to scoop, I'm using a cookie scoop. You can also just use a 1/4 cup. That also helps as well. And I'm going to scoop about a 1/4 cup of batter into each cupcake holder. And then I'm going to let these sit for about 20 minutes before I put them into a 350-degree oven. And so they're going to bake at 350 for about 16 to 18 minutes. The reason why I let them rest is because for some reason, because I guess the higher level of starch in gluten-free flours, the fact that it might take the moisture, the liquid ingredients in it, a little bit longer to absorb, they just come out fluffier and cakier when you let the batter sit. So I'm going to let these bake for 16 to 18 minutes. So my cinnamon spice cupcakes were in the oven at 350 degrees for about 18 minutes. And then I cooled them completely before popping them out of the pan. I'm just going to cut into this one right here. Now, like I said, these would be great with some sort of apple or pumpkin or squash frosting or filling. They're very hearty. Look at that right there. So we have beautiful air pockets, a little bit in there. It's a nice spongy cake. There you go. Gluten-free cinnamon spice cupcakes. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Jacqueline Raposo. For more gluten-free and allergy-friendly recipes, join me at www.thedustybaker.com. Thanks.